When I saw that, I was like, okay, let me do some more research. Let me see what else is going on with them. And when I saw this, I was straight up shocked. Man, oh man, do we have something interesting to talk about in tonight's video. And I gotta be honest with all of you, I'm kind of disappointed in you guys because nobody sent this to me. Nobody gave me any leads, any hints. I had to find out this information myself, which is completely okay, but normally you guys help me out. Of course, I see a lot of stuff going on in the college football world, but I can't see everything, and this is one of the things I've missed in the past couple of days. But today we are covering this, and this could change everything for the sport of college football, and this isn't good news if you're not a fan of Georgia. If you're a fan of Georgia, you're going to love this. You're going to be eating this up. And what I'm talking about and referring to is not just the number one quarterback in the country, the number one overall player in the country. He's the same quarterback who decommitted from Ohio State. It's looking like he's going to be going to Georgia. Out of nowhere, Georgia has taken a huge step forward in landing this kid. And you know why that's scary? Because Georgia, we saw what they could do with a regular quarterback. But imagine they get the number one quarterback in the country. That has been the only knock on Kirby Smart is, okay, he hasn't handled quarterback situations too well. Well, what if he can start doing that? That's where it could be bad for the rest of the sport. And remember, I'm going to give credit to DoorDash Bennett. He had a good year last year, but we all know good old stats in DoorDash Bennett, he wasn't no big-time hotshot. Just imagine for a second if Kirby Smart can get this kid who's on the caliber of a C.J. Stroud, Bryce Young, or Caleb Williams. It could be a game changer. We don't got a lot to talk about in tonight's video, but we got one major topic to go over. I'm so excited to get into this. I just feel like with spring coming around, college football is going to be here before we know it. And as always, if you're not subscribed, you already know the corny intro. Consider joining our amazing community. All right, Matt, blah, blah, shut the crap up. Now, without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, let me give you some context before we dive deep into the situation. The quarterback, the player we're going to be talking about, the number one rated overall recruit in the class of 2024, this young man goes by the name of Dylan Raiola. This is a young man we've already talked about on this channel before because recently he was committed to Ohio State. He winds up decommitting, and then word around town is he's going to flip and go to Nebraska. Why Nebraska, you may ask? They suck. Well, that's because his dad played there. That adds up. It goes hand in hand. Nebraska, they got the new head coach in Matt Rule. His dad played there. It looked like that was going to be the new school he was going to go to. And I'm almost 99.3% sure the last time I talked about this young man, that's where we left off. He decommitted from Ohio State, and it looked like the new frontrunner was Nebraska. And well, here we are, and we have an update. Nobody sent this to me. I happened to stumble across it myself going on Twitter. One of Georgia's newest commits, he tweeted this out. Hey, with like 4 Ys, at Raiola Dylan, we need you. Hashtag go dogs. Just like everybody else when they saw that, I was like, what's going on? Why is a Georgia player tweeting at Dylan Raiola? And we see this time after time. Whenever a player who just commits to a team tweets out something like this, more times than not, that guy they're tweeting at, the guy they want to come to a new school with them, he's going to join them. It's not like he's genuinely saying, hey, Dylan, we'd love if you join us at Georgia. No, these guys obviously have been talking. He's just poking fun. It kind of feels like the guy who tweeted this out, he's giving us a teaser as to what may come in the future. When I saw that, I was like, okay, let me do some more research. Let me see what else is going on with them. And when I saw this, I was straight up shocked. Nebraska is no longer the front runner in landing Mr. Dylan Raiola. Guess who it is? Georgia. Nebraska has a 33.3% chance. Georgia has a 44.4% chance, and USC 22.2%. And he's recently been crystal balled multiple times to go to Georgia. And this crystal ball thing, I know some people get it, some people don't. I remember when it first came out when somebody said, oh, well, Tua Tagovailoa's crystal ball to go to Alabama. Nobody really understood. It's like, okay, is this just people guessing? But believe it or not, the people who come up with these crystal balls, they're right 75, 80% of the time. I don't know how they're right, but I'm going to give them this. They're good at what they do. They got sources. They do this stuff for a living, so it makes sense. Like I said, nobody sends this to me. I had to find it out for myself. On March 30th in 2023, which was only about 14-ish days ago, Steve Wilfong predicted that Dylan Raiola will commit to Georgia. I don't know how that flew under the radar. I don't know how. I haven't seen it, but the bottom line is I see it now. And what's also weird about this, putting 2 and 2 together, that recruit, yesterday, he tweeted that out. So you see where I'm going with this. Kind of fishy that 14 days ago, they predict him and crystal ball him to go to Georgia, and then yesterday, a Georgia commit tweets at him. But for me, that wasn't good enough. I was like, okay, I need some more information, and I also found this out on Twitter, Instagram. A lot of these Georgia fans are stating, and just people around the country are stating, that Dylan Raiola, he's a silent commit. I want to explain this in the easiest way possible. For those of you that don't know what a silent commit is, it basically means Dylan Raiola, he's already committed to Georgia, but he hasn't done it publicly. It's not official. He's let Kirby Smart and them know, hey, I'm coming there, but I'm not making it official just quite yet. I'm not saying that. That's what a lot of other people are saying. I also happened to stumble across this on Instagram where somebody said, Raiola is coming to UGA. I have sources for real. It's happening. Somebody said, okay, what's your sources? And he stated, let's just say his commit video will be featuring DGD himself, Matt Stanford. He also stated that Dylan's dad and somebody else is working on his commitment video. Now let's cut the BS. Just because this random comment, this random person on Instagram says, oh, it's happening, I believe he's shooting his commitment video with his dad and blah, 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 blah. Does this mean it's going to happen? Heck to the no. I'm just sharing this information with you because I do think it's interesting. I mean, why else would this person be saying it? Why would he make this up? My point is, and here's what I'm trying to get across, we've had so much stuff happen in the last 14, 15 days just talking about this kid going to Georgia. Randomly, 14 days ago, he gets crystal ball to go to Georgia. Yesterday, a Georgia player comes out and says, hey man, why don't you come to Georgia? Tweets at him trying to be funny. And then now you got people saying, oh yeah, he's shooting his commitment video. He's a silent commit. Even if you want to chop this comment up as this dude's just straight up lying, he wants attention. Well, why did Dylan Raiola get crystal ball to go to Georgia? Why do they have a 44% chance of getting him? Why is a Georgia player who is committed there tweeting at him? Come on now, let's be serious. I can chop up something as being a joke or whatnot, but this isn't a joking matter. This is dead serious. I don't think this is Georgia fans having wishful thinking. I think this is going to happen. And I'll explain to you why I personally believe he's going to go to Georgia and why it's almost 100% guaranteed. Outside of Georgia, his only other two options are Nebraska and USC. Could he wind up going to USC? I mean, yeah, anything's possible, but from everything I've heard, USC doesn't have much traction at all. With Dylan Raiola, and I've heard this time after time after time with his dad playing football at a high level, he wants to compete for a championship, and he's smart enough to understand he ain't going to be competing for no championship at USC. I don't see that happening, and really they haven't even had much traction like I stated, so it's down to Nebraska and Georgia. At one point in time, Nebraska seemed like the front runner to land this kid right when he decommitted from Ohio State. But I think what happened was Mr. Dylan Raiola, he came to his senses. Yeah, you can go to Nebraska and be the star player, the MVP, the guy they praise around campus right away, but Nebraska still sucks. Nebraska's offensive line is terrible. You're not going to have any time to throw. Did you watch Nebraska last year? I did. I watched almost every single game because it's funny to watch them lose and see their fans throw a rampage. Their offensive line is one of the worst in the country. Their quarterback last year, Casey Thompson, wasn't bad. He just didn't have time to pass. So what happened was, I think finally, and I mean finally, Dylan Raiola came to his senses and said, you know what? Maybe I shouldn't go to Nebraska. Maybe I should go to a school that also, A, needs a quarterback, but B, has a good offensive line. They can compete for a championship. The only appeal with Nebraska, whether you want to believe this or not, is that he would have been guaranteed the starting job. No ifs, ands, or buts. That was the only reason he would have went there, and plus he would have got NIL money. But after going on recruiting visits, and by the way, here's a little fun fact for you, he went to the championship game where he saw Georgia demolish TCU. That changed everything. Winners want to be around winners and losers want to be around losers. It's simple. My entire life I've heard all these people go, oh man, why do all these 3-star recruits even want to go to Bama and Georgia? They're not going to play. Why don't they go to Chattanooga State Water Aquarium Community College where they could be the star? Look, it's simple. Even 2-star and 3-star recruits, they want to be a part of a undefeated team, whether they play 80 snaps or 8 snaps. And also, worst case in the scenario, Dylan understands, hey, if it doesn't even work out at Georgia, I can just go back to Nebraska. They're always going to suck. They're always going to need a quarterback. This young man wants to be a part of a winning team, and he wants to win his championship as a starting quarterback. And after seeing Georgia win against TCU in person, I think it changed his mind. Man, oh man, just imagine Georgia with a really, and I mean a really good quarterback. It's the same thing with Alabama when Alabama was starting their dynasty. Yeah, A.J. McCarron was good, and who else after him? Blake Sims was good, Jacob Coker. But everybody was like, man, what if Alabama could get some really great quarterbacks? And, well, we see how that's turned out. Alabama is now known as an offensive team. So if Georgia can get a really great quarterback, maybe they can be known for that as well. I don't want to say that this #1 recruit in high school, it's a done deal that he's going to Georgia right away. But if I was a betting man, which I'm not, I'd bet all my money on it. So, yeah. You can do what you want with this information. And as always, just like he decommitted from Ohio State, things can change. You never know with these kids. They change their minds all the time. Let me know your thoughts down below. But